I think I just discovered what will be the next power up in One Piece. I'm not the first one to notice this, but I think I have a perspective that nobody else is talking about. Thank you very much for watching. Our support is greatly appreciated, and let's get into it. So, what I think will be the next power up in One Piece will be the power of love. Yes, I know it's a bit of a already tired theme throughout pop culture, but I think Oda in One Piece here will do it in a different way, and I think it will be very enjoyable. Now, already know or have some clues that Sanji is a powerful character in a different way because the power of spiraling, the power of love, how he's attracted to females, and how he protects females in general, and he's goddamn strong, not just because of the Jarma modifications, but there is another character that it wasn't introduced recently, but that we started to discover more about them recently, that really proves this point to myself, and it's Copper Gaban. Gaban, although recently came with the official pronunciation, and supposedly it's Giban, but it's a bit weird, so Scopper, let's call him Scopper, because Scopper made a great achievement that we never seen before, but it also might be connected to the Void Century and a certain race of people in the world. And what was that big feat? Finding the One Piece? No. Being part of Roger's crew? Also no. Cutting a God's Knight and kind of stopping their regeneration? Also not. The feat I'm talking about, it's even bigger. He had a child with a giant. That's right. That's the big achievement. Because if you think about it, not just he needs insane rays, he also needs a special power, a special process. So you know what I'm getting, right? How does a tiny human have a baby with a giant power of love? Right? And I think the power of love will be a form of haki. And bro, if this happens, Oda needs to send me a check in the mail because I think it's gonna be like haki, the red lightning, the black and red lightning, but it will be pink lightning. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe Oda will he's just tired of doing so many drawings with haki. It will just be like an invisible force, an invisible power. Maybe it will be fire like Sanji does, because where the hell does Sanji gets his fire? From the feet, like, I think that's the power of love. And I also think that maybe that's why Sanji survived after his mother drank poison to kill him, because she knew he was being experimented on. And also I think it was through the power of love that Sanji was able to maintain not only his powers from German modifications, but also his humanity. But Sanji is a bit confusing because it can also be the power of spirals that Oda talks about, spiraling of the planet, spiraling of the galaxy, you know what I'm saying? But Gaban or Scopper is the introduction of this new power. Not only is he introducing how to stop the immortality, I think that's how he's stopping the immortality of the Holy Knights, because the Holy Knight is all about demon, abyss, being manipulated, being subjugated, while what counters that the most? The power of heaven, the power of God, connection, being valued, being appreciated, not being dominated, being supported, being loved. The power of love suppresses the power of the devil. And not only that, I also think that the kid of God of Scopper and the giant is a powerful entity. It will be a very powerful entity because it was created from this power of love. Now, how it actually happened? How did really Scopper and the giant have that connection? Well, I think it's like Pokemon. If you ever played Pokemon, it's my favorite game of all time, by the way. There is a location called the daycare, and in the daycare, you can leave your Pokemon and they will be raised by the owners of the daycare. But be careful, because they might erase some moves that you enjoy in your Pokemon. Happens actually if you leave a female or a male Pokemon and they share the same egg group. That's a Pokemon detail, it doesn't matter right now. They will spawn an egg. Or if you leave a Ditto, because the Ditto transforms into the opposite gender and then they will have an egg. But it's a Pokemon fact that Pokemons don't have physical relationships. They share energy, and then the egg is poofed into existence by that energy. And I think it's the same thing with Scopper. I don't think he actually did something, physically speaking. Maybe there was a ritual, maybe there was an experience that they went together, but he wasn't in there exploring it like a cave, if you know what I mean. I think there was a sharing of energy, a sharing of Aki, and then the giant got pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And an interesting thought pops in my mind. Would it be possible if it was the other way around? If the human was a female and the giant was a male? Because I think for you to have a giant hybrid, it can't be on the female body because it can't handle it. So, in a way that it kind of makes sense, it needs always to be the male man and then the female giant because she can carry that baby. You know what I'm saying? So, completely, I truly believe it was through the power of love that Scopper created that child together with the female giant. Now, I said that this might be connected to a certain bloodline in the One Piece world. And what is that line? I think it's the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers are kind of like giant humans, if you know what I'm saying. And I think that's why they are so feared by the world government. So just like Colin, the son of Scopper and Ripley, the Buccaneers are literally made out of the power of love. So they would be a menace to the world government that uses the power of the devil. Why? Well, we don't really know. We don't really know why the Buccaneers are feared by the world government. We know they made a great scene back in the day, you know, but we don't know like why, what really happens, what do they do, or what can't be done to them. The world government fears, because I don't think just because they believe in Nika or in the sun god, because other races do and they weren't exterminated, right? So I think they can't be Domi reversed. I think they can't be turned into celestial dragons or holy knights. I think the power of Emu just doesn't work, or it works into a minimal effect into buccaneers or childs that are produced from the power of love. So maybe even the buccaneers can reverse Emu's power. Maybe they can connect the connection of Emu and the abyss. You know what I'm saying? And there is a reason I think Oda connected a bit more directly the Buccaneers with the sun god Nika. There is really a bigger connection, a bigger opposition between the Buccaneers and Emu, just like Nika frees the slaves that the world government creates. The Buccaneers also, I think, will have a similar type of role, you know? I think also, like, Kuma was a Buccaneer and he was the one that freed the slaves from God Valley. He was the one guiding the Straw Hats. So I think the Buccaneers are the main force against Emu's powers. It doesn't mean they are the ones actually defeating them, but because they are made out of the power of love, like Colon, I think they are a natural force that opposes Emu. And if the world government can't control Buccaneers, they can't Domi reverse them, their only option is to literally enslave them physically with chains. And also, that's why they were so keen into getting clones of Kuma, because it's the only way they can, according to my theory, right, they can keep the Buccaneers under their control literally, because if they enslave them, they're not really under control like they did with the giants in Elbaf right now with the Domi Reversi. So the best way to have the Buccaneers under their control will be to clone them since they can't Domi reverse them. Now, let me explore some counter arguments to my theory, which is okay, a man or a human can have a child with a giant, two different races. Now, can also a man have a child with fishmen through the power of love? I think yes, but not necessarily, because I think a man and a fishman can way more plausibly have a son through normal means. And if you think about it, every children is produced through the power of love. But buccaneers need to be on an extreme level filled with power of love because they can't be done in a real way. They can't be done in a physical way. You know what I'm saying? So a fishman and a human don't need that extreme power of love to create a child. And also, I thought about Skypians, for example, or like human races that have weird fixtures. They might be crossbred, crossbred. And I think the One Piece is a treasure and whatnot, but it's a treasure can lead to the ultimate goal of the world becoming One Piece, of the world becoming together, and then my crazy theory, which I still have to do a video about it, which is everybody will be able to ride the earth. Once everybody comes together, they'll be able to ride the earth and be space pirates, and the earth will be their ship, basically. And the Buccaneers come in as one of the biggest threats against the world government as well, because they represent the thing that the world government fights against the most: world connection, world alliances. We've seen recently in the One Piece manga that Harold, first, the king of giants, was destroying stuff. World government is like, bro, you do what you do. Then he starts creating connections, creating alliances, helping humans, and the world government actively stops that. So creating a breed between two very powerful races and having that supposedly new power of love is not only a way to connect the world and make the world come together, one piece, it's also not only that, but creating a actual physically threat, because those descendants, those offsprings will have the power of love, which can reduce or completely nullify the power of the beast. So the power of love can create new generations that fight the world government in two ways: they are together, they not fight against each other, and they can literally, through, I don't know, haki or some type of new power, fight and resist Imu's dark powers. The power of love, or in this specific case, the child of a human of and a giant, or any super physically different races that come together to create a child, they are what can bring the world to one piece, connecting the races through bloodline, through the power of blood. And that's my theory, that Colon, Ripley, and Scopper are an introduction to the power of love, and just that child existing makes no sense physically, but if you can use a spiritual power, a hockey power that is love, and then Scopper can send his intention into Ripley, and Ripley physically changes and creates life out of that, then that can happen. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this too crazy? And if it is, please explain me, how the hell did a man, human man, have a child with a giant female? That will be really appreciated. Or if you're watching, bro, let me know, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for watching. It's greatly appreciated, and I see you on the next one.